Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Aquarius for January 2019. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my blogs there. Also, you can book a live reading with me if you'd like to have my insights for this upcoming year for you. If you love the way that I teach astrology, then you may want to join my astrology apprenticeship program because it's totally awesome. And depending on when you're watching this, it could be enrolling right now. So definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com and check out the status of enrollment for my astrology apprenticeship program, where I go into a massive amount of comprehensive information about learning astrology. Okay, so what's going on for Aquarius for January 2019? We've got this brand new clean slate. We've got not only all the personal planets finally not retrograde anymore, their post-shadow periods are finally clear. So we start out the new year with what really feels like a new year. Also, we have, bam, 2 eclipses this month, bringing trajectory changes, sudden news. You might have started to have that news come in already in December. This is particularly potent because it's the end of the Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle, so you all have been having a massive amount of change between 2017 and 2019. So we'll look at that last eclipse in this video to see where it hits for Aquarius placements. Also, at the beginning, the first quarter of this year, we have several supermoons who are happening at the first degree of their sign. So these indicate, each of these on their own, never mind all 3 together, indicate lots of new chapters. So we have just new chapters opening up everywhere. So I'd like to take a look at the eclipse placements and some other things specific for Aquarius. In the December report, I went into where the first eclipse between January 5th, well, like around there, depending on your time zone, is going to hit for you. So definitely watch that report to get a more complete picture of the month of January. And this eclipse that's going to occur around January 21st, depending on your time zone, you could also start seeing manifestations of that sooner. So depending on when you're watching this, you may also see these things starting to brew in December. So since the format of me showing you the charts where you can see the difference between the early, middle, and late degree placement readings has been working so well, everybody has been telling me they love it. So we're going to transition now into the visuals where I show you the charts and I'll give you my insights for Aquarius for the month and beyond, and you'll have the visual reference. Hello Aquarius friends. Okay, if you're still with me, that means you are interested in going past the general overview for Aquarius for the month of January, and you are interested in seeing the charts for the early, middle, and late degree placements. This is my favorite part of doing videos because I'm an astrology teacher and I get to focus on more technical things that for some people are confusing, but for those who are learning, they love it. Okay, so that's why I'm trying to give you a summary so that people who this is too confusing for, you can just catch the things I summarized in a few minutes before this, and then if you want to go more in depth, you can have the charts. So in order to move forward, we have to figure out if you are an early, middle, or late degree placement, because there are 30 degrees in the sign of Aquarius, and so it starts at 0 and it goes to 30, or actually goes to 29. So depending on where you're at in that spectrum of the sign, your chart placements shift. So, I mean, just like quickly to see here, see how this cluster in the late degree is over in the first house, and then for this middle degree, that same cluster is in the second house, and for the early degree, that same cluster is in the second house. So especially late degree placements, you tend to have pretty drastically different charts sometimes than the early degree, and sometimes the middle, you ride the line between what the late and the early look like. So that's why I take the time to differentiate and to educate people who are interested in this. Okay, so the way that you figure out if you're early, middle, or late, and these are estimates because these could be staggered by a few days, but just to make it easy, the January born Aquarius people are early. Okay, so early January, right? And then February 1st through 10th around, oh, okay, wait, back to early, also 0 through 9 degrees if you are watching for your moon or your rising, or you know the degree of your sun. That's early. Okay, so middle degree is February 1st through 10th or so, and 10 through 19 degrees if you're watching for your moon or rising or you know your sun degree. And then the late degree is like February 11th for the rest of the sign, through the rest of the sign, or 20 through 29 degrees if you're watching for your moon or rising, or if you know your degree placement. Now, if you missed any of that, please rewind and go back to figure out if you're early, middle, or late. My assistant and I are trying to answer all the questions we get on YouTube, but it's very difficult for us. So if you can answer that question for yourself by looking back, we'd appreciate that. Okay, so we are continuing our discussion about the eclipses, and these have special significance for Aquarius because we have been in a Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle from the beginning of 2017 through early 19. When there are eclipses in your sign, those years take on more significance as far as change and different directions in many cases, and rebirth, compared to other areas of the chart. Because when the eclipses happen, they're often happening near or on your actual Aquarius placements. And that activates things for you, which is part of why it increases the tendency for change. So to put this in perspective, think back to between 2008 and 2009. That's when this eclipse cycle happened last. So you may have noticed similar themes with things going on between 2008 and 2009 that are going on, have been going on, that we're kind of culminating now. So as we have an eclipse cycle, anything can happen along the lines of the eclipse cycle during the whole years, years that it's going on. But during the actual months of the eclipses, or near the months of the eclipses each year, so there were sets in 2 sets in 2017, there were 2 sets in 2018, and there's 1 set as it relates to Leo Aquarius in 2019. So when you're closer to those dates of the eclipses, the manifestations or things like being brought very obviously into your face are increased. So even though you can have an eclipse manifestation at any time during the whole cycle, when it becomes eclipse time, it's very hot for changes. So now that we have that figured out. In general, for all signs, dramatic endings, milestones, shifts, new beginnings, changes in trajectory with things involving children or creative projects or romance are very likely. Okay, so that's from the sign of Leo, and that's true for everybody. But let's look to see where it's falling in the houses for everyone. So you early degree placements, you may have some of this energy whispering in the 7th house, especially you early degree placements. So that means for you early people, it takes on more of an increase that this eclipse would be about relationships. So the coming to an end of a certain chapter, sometimes it's not the ending of the actual relationship, but like a certain chapter. Like for instance, some ways that I see this manifest, somebody gets engaged and then now they're not just boyfriend and girlfriend anymore or whatever they call themselves. Now they're engaged, or they become married, and then that ends that other chapter, or they have a child and that ends the chapter of pre-children. For some people, some other change within their relationship will occur. And for some people, it will actually end relationships. And all of these things I listed are not just for romantic relationships. They can be important clients, working partnerships, close, relationships even with a neighbor, just like anything that's a close one-on-one relationship. You early, especially the early degree placements, have this 7th house manifestation. Very often it can involve drama. Sometimes it's sweet drama, like, a bittersweet ending, happy tears. Sometimes it's not, but it does tend to be dramatic. So just kind of look out for that. I always say I try not to plan things for the eclipse days, especially these lunar eclipses. So January 21st, days around January 21st, depending on your time zone, that could be a little different. Because, and really, even like the week before, sometimes people feel that energy really strongly. So you might have already gotten your eclipse news in December, or it hasn't come yet, or it won't come till February. So for the rest of you, let's look to see where this is going to be. It's going to be focused more for you middle and late degree placements. Here's middle. Just bring you guys into focus here for a second. Actually, okay, so for you middle degree placements, it's going to be here in the 6th house. And for you late degree placements, it's also going to be in the 6th house. Okay. So, some dramatic endings, wake-up calls, culminations, events happening in the house of health. This is not a time to ignore symptoms. If you've had something going on, definitely get it checked out. Get some diagnostics on it. Sometimes these things can seem like they're catastrophic, but can just work out totally fine. But again, it's like the culmination, the wake-up call of something that's been undercover and comes out into the light. Many people will have a diagnosis or some sort of discovery that explains something they've been working with from a health perspective. And yeah, so health, diet, anything having to do with your regimen, like your self-care routine, any kind of practitioner that helps you with your body. For some people, this won't have anything to do with health. Oh wait, I might add that I have seen sometimes somebody has someone close to them have a health problem with a lunar eclipse in a 6th house. And it sufficiently jars them enough to change their own habits, even if the event doesn't happen to themselves. So sometimes there can be a little distance between the lesson, like let's say you're running, stressing yourself out, not doing things you're supposed to be doing, and then all of a sudden your friend or coworker has a heart attack and dies, and you're like, oh my God, that could have been me. And so you radically changed the way that you were being in your 6th house, your health house, your diet, your regimen, etc., based on something that happened close to you. And it doesn't even have to be like a friend or someone that you care personally about, just the proximity to you sometimes it can be. And because this 6th house also rules work, it increases the odds of something occurring to a coworker or with a coworker or in the office space. For some people, this will just result as you get a promotion you wanted, you get a position you wanted, you have something work-related that ends and something else is beginning, or you end an assignment and now you're open for new energy. For some people, this will manifest as a pet needing attention, or a milestone with a pet, some sort of accomplishment, or the getting of a pet or something like that, something involving pets. So pets, office, your daily routine, health, all of those things. For you middle and late degree placements, that is more where the energy of the eclipse will be headed. You early guys and gals, you're not out of the potential range for this 6th house manifestation just because you may see it in the 7th, because it's on the line close enough that all of these things I listed for the 6th house are possibilities for you as well. You just also have this 7th house energy sprinkled in a stronger way than the other placements have. Okay. All right. So now I want to tell you about the dates I love this month, my favorite launch dates. If you have to do something important, make commitments, the days I'm, a little concerned about that I want you to be aware of, and other general transit information that will be helpful to you for the month. So let's look at the charts for the general transits now. Okay, so now let's talk about the general transits. There are lots of important dates to note, and I'm going to go into the specifics of those now. The theme of the month for all signs is radical new chapters and wide open stars. As I mentioned before, this is truly the energy of a new year. It can be a very clean slate. We've had a year of retrogrades, pretty much focusing on the personal planets retrograde, and this is like a really huge clean slate time. So lots of old patterns, lots of old programming, lots of old ways of being, brilliant new chapters opening. There are so many reasons why there's so much newness. So not only are we free finally from the personal planet retrogrades and their post-shadow periods, as of January 6th, we also have all of the planets, including the outer planets, going direct. So this is a very rare occurrence, and these wide open stars will last until February 18th. So It is important to note, however, that even though we have all this energy from momentum and moving forward, we do actually have quite a few astrological clashes this month. So as far as trying to do important things or move forward, there are definitely going to be clashes and impediments, but still the general energy is just very open, and many things that we've been working on can really manifest at this time in a really huge way. So we talked at length about the eclipses. Besides the fact that the eclipses are happening, bringing in new chapters, ending old chapters, and then also besides the fact that the planets, will be all going direct, also the first 3 full moons of 2019 are all supermoons, and they occur at the first degree of their respective sign, which brings even more energy of a clean slate and the instigation of many new experiences and ways of being, opportunities, trajectory changes, and other new beginnings that we have really sought after, or some that arise as a surprise. I often get the question, what is a supermoon? So the supermoon is when the moon is at its closest possible point to, or very, notably close. You ever notice those moons where you're like, gosh, the moon looks really big. Like, whoa. Like that. Then that often is because the moon is actually closer to us. That's why it looks bigger. So when this coincides with the full moon, then it's called a supermoon. Okay, so supermoons definitely carry some similar energy to the eclipses in the way that there's more power behind the full moon. So more things coming to fruition and then opening up. Basically things coming to a major climax and new things beginning. So powerful endings, powerful beginnings are definitely a theme that we're having from the eclipses and the supermoons. So I'm going to go into details about transits that I want you to be very aware of. And do note that if you want a written version of the general transit report a month early delivered to your inbox, then go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter, and you'll get this information in writing and more. So I list all the transits that are most noteworthy, along with some information about what you can expect. So I won't go through all of them in this video, but if you sign up for my free email newsletter, then you'll be able to see access to them. And a lot of people really like that for planning because you can see when the dicey transits are right there written in front of you, not just hearing it on the audio. Also, if you are planning travel, check out my monthly travel astrology reports on my site, astrologykisstravelbliss.com. And if you like written horoscopes from me, then go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. Okay, so those all will give you tons more information about the transits, how you can best use the energies. So, like I mentioned before, there are quite a few clashes this month, and there's some energy that I would call very sobering. And this is typical of this time of year when aspects get together in the sign of Capricorn. It's kind of very, it's very realist. It's like kind of sometimes time to pay the piper, after the Sag transits of just kind of freedom-loving. Now this is the time to get organized, get your taxes together, figure out the financial aftermath from the holidays, So it can come with some sobering or even challenging news, reality checks, but this energy is also fantastic for trying to drill long-term things in to your reality. So like on the 1st and the 2nd, we've got the Sun getting together with Saturn in this Capricorn. This Capricorn energy is the kind of, I don't want to make it mad, but we'll call it concerned energy, where you're like, okay, we really have to get down to business here. So that energy will last a few days, and then there's a square with Mercury. So on the 3rd, and then also again, we have, let's see, on the 8th, and then again on the 23rd. So January 3rd, January 8th, and January 23rd, we have squares with Mercury. So expect on those days possible impediments to movement, some, minor speed bumps, Challenges with communication could feel like a mini Mercury retrograde. So whenever Mercury gets together in the form of a square, it can cause those challenges. So it's going to, Mercury still in Sag is going to come and square, let's see, Chiron. Then it's going to come and square Mars. Then it's going to come and square Uranus over the month. Okay, so particularly that one on the 8th and then the one on the 23rd. So 1, 8, 1, 23. Be extra careful with your physical body and with driving. And, these are the kind of transits that I say, like, really look out as you're texting. I'm hoping that everyone would just stop texting while they're driving or riding a bike or walking in busy areas. But since I know that's not going to happen, I at least can give you the warning that in the days around those days, there are more chances for accidents, verbal communication accidents, and also physical body and vehicle, and with your devices, like dropping in the toilet, things that would impede your communication through something happening to the device. So just be really careful around those days, extra so. And always remember that I give you the dates of the transits, but the days that we can experience the transits are often before or after the actual transit, because all of the transits have these orbs of energy. So like, something happens on this day, sometimes we feel that over here or on the day or some point after, because the range of influence of a transit has an orb, and the orb is dependent upon the planets involved. So, from a day to 4 or 5 days, if we're talking about things with the personal planets, before or after. Okay. That's why I say don't hang your hat too heavily on an exact date. You have to more like tune in to the feeling. If there's going to be a sweet aspect, and there are going to be quite a few, which I'm going to have you note here, then if you're feeling the vibes in the days before, you don't have to wait till the exact day of the aspect. If you want to lock something in or do something important, then definitely follow your personal flow, how you're personally experiencing the transits. Okay, one more challenging date of note, and there are actually more that I'm listing, but again, you can go to anniehelpsyou.com and see more about those details. But on January 13th, we have the first of 3 passes of Jupiter in Sagittarius squaring Neptune in Pisces. Okay, so let's look at that here. So Jupiter is here. Neptune is here. Now, also a reminder, I know I've talked about this before, but I want to remind you, when we're talking about general transits, these are for everybody. I tack the general transits at the end of the individual reports. So the general transit that you hear for each sign will actually be the same for all signs. I do that for your convenience, so you just listen to it right after your sign-specific report. When we're talking about the general transits, these houses that these aspects are occurring in don't matter. Okay, we're just looking at the relationship between the planets and not the houses. To understand the houses, that's going to be different for each sign. So just kind of ignore, that's why I've scribbled this out over there. All right, so anytime outer planets get together, they're generally talking about a long-term theme. Okay, so this on January 13th is the first of 3 passes, with the second being on June 16th. And then the third and last being on September 21st. And these are all in 2019. Okay, so it's very well indicated to avoid being overly optimistic at this time, and definitely to avoid risk-taking behaviors that may have worked in the past. This is a time when the expansive nature of Jupiter, it just wants to go big, is kind of put into a challenging angle by this energy of disillusionment or confusion or uncertainty or chaos. And I always see these kind of aspects as nice checks and balances that we have from the universe, because we've been on this big expansion spree since Jupiter has gotten into Sagittarius. And we will continue this for most of 2019, where the energy, is in an expansion mode. Even when Jupiter is in retrograde, which isn't yet, but even during that time, there's this story of expansion is really strong, because Jupiter is in the sign that it rules, which is very excessive in that place. So, you know, in the weeks around the 13th, June 16th, June 21st, like these hot spots will last weeks at a time. Just be really careful. Like, it's not always the best time to take risks unless you're intuitively inclined for sure. The odds are more in favor of disappointment now than triumph. You know, I see a positive way to look at this transit as it helps to show the limits of the expansion that is occurring, you know, because we can't just keep expanding indefinitely in all areas without having a rest or having a check-in or checking sustainability for the things we've, you know, expanded into. It's very helpful for us to have this, like, okay, let's take a step back and evaluate and prepare for future expansion by seeing, you know, if we can manage what we've already done. So we need to have form and structure. I mean, we need to have structure to be in form. And so the energy, you know, being very upward moving, this is a time when we're kind of like settling into the new norm and taking a break from the frenetic pace of increase. And actually doing that purposely can be a sweet way to avoid lessons from this. Okay, so now let's talk about the juicy stuff. All right, let's get this out of here. I want to talk about my favorite aspects of the month. There are quite a few nice aspects this month, but most of them are coupled with challenging aspects on the same days. So there's kind of like this sweet and salty going on a lot of the month. But towards the end, put a gold star around the 22nd. Okay, on January 22nd, Venus, where are you, buddy? All right, so Venus is going to come and get together with Jupiter. So put like a big star on the days around this. Now, there are some other aspects around those dates that could be manifesting that could have more challenge. But in general, Venus, ruling love and beauty and money and self-esteem, is going to get together with the great expander. So anytime we have a personal planet, especially Venus or Mercury or the Sun, getting together with Jupiter, it usually means like really good news involving money or love, a sweet spot, you know, something gelling, money coming in, you know, just something really, really excellent. So I just love, love, love that day. Now, if you have to do something business-wise, like launching something, oh my gosh, I really love this time. And if it happens to be in anything having to do with Sagittarius efforts, even better. So like teaching, learning, speaking, publishing, writing, spiritual pursuits, church-related things, travel, long distance, you know, different countries, different cultures, different languages. There's even more support around those kind of things coming in, news and other things. But you can definitely use it purposely to lock in some good energy. One of those squares I warned you about with Mercury is on the 23rd. So Mercury squaring Uranus. So just, you know, that's going to be happening at the same time. So if things are weird that exact day, don't, you know, just follow your intuition. But I definitely love the energies of this Venus aspect. Now, the two last sweet aspects that are my favorite this month, they're even better in some ways because they're not clouded by another challenging aspect that's kind of stealing some of their thunder. Okay, so let's get that out of there. So on the 25th, we're going to have Mars in Aries trining Jupiter in Sag. Gosh, this little pen is hard to write with. Okay, so Mars, there he is, and Jupiter are going to come together and be in our favorite trine configuration. Okay, and when that happens, that's the sweetest of all astrological aspects. So this is one of my favorite aspects of the month and even the year. Because trines with Jupiter are just awesome. So it's a great day for important things. If your intuition is in agreement and the synchronicities seem to line up, I love this for like launch dates, moving forward, making decisions, you know, and it should be relatively clear from that other aspect that happened on the 23rd, or at least it's diluting. All right, so that's put a sweet spot, sweet gold star there. And then the last aspect is on the last day of the month that I love, love, love. You can see that the end of the month is kind of more clear in some ways from the general mischief of the month. Also, the eclipses will have happened, so some more clarity might be coming in about those directions. So on January 31st, we have a beautiful Saturn in Cap sextile Neptune in Pisces. Okay, where's our buddies there? Saturn and Neptune. Okay, so sextile is a 60-degree angle, beautiful aspect. And again, like our other aspect that we were talking about with Jupiter squaring Neptune, that's an outer planet challenging aspect. We talked about the implications of that. But this similarly will have 3 passes. Okay, so January 31st is the first pass. The second one is June 18th of 2019. And then the third is November 8th. All right, so on these days, this energy of material gains coming from spiritual focus and pursuits is very strongly brought into the picture. And again, it's like the weeks around this time. So it can also manifest as any beautiful blending of the lesser seen plus the more tangible realms. So this is like a nice bridge time when people who are doing work on the inner planes, doing work with the law of attraction, doing work with, on the levels that are hard to see. Like you could be working really hard and what we call normal people around you, right, who don't understand what you're doing, might say, everything looks the same in your life. And you say, oh, well, I'm really working. Things are really shifting on the inside. These transits are times when things that you've done on the inner realm can really manifest in a big way. They're like really good affirmations and confirmations that you're on the right track and that inner work really does work. So I love ending off the month with that kind of awesomeness. And also if you have to plan something important, that is a super sweet aspect to lock in. When you're doing something important, the day you do it on is like a birthday in many cases, depending on what it is. And then that chart, whatever's going on that day, gets locked into the story of what you're doing. That's why doing things, on good dates can be very helpful to the long-term outcomes of what you're trying to do, because you lock in good energy, and then that carries, that goes with it for the whole venture. So if you'd like to have a written version of this every month, a month early, go to anniehelpsyou.com. If you are already on my email newsletter list and you're not receiving my emails, I send them out religiously. So definitely check your spam, social, events folders. And if you find them there, move them into your inbox to give your email the alert like, hey, I want these in my general inbox, because I'm definitely sending them. So if you're not getting them, then contact my customer service team and definitely first look in those other inboxes. So I hope you love the added effects of the visuals, and definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you can see more about booking a private reading with me. I can tell you more about what's coming in the next year from the astrological perspective and all kinds of other things. Also, if you resonate with how I teach and you would love to learn with me, my astrology apprenticeship program is registering now. So definitely check out my website for details about my astrology apprenticeship program. Also, in the beginning of January, my coach certification and online business course will be registering. I have horoscopes and lifestyle blogs, including astrology for wellness blogs at cozybysweetstarlight.com. And if you're a traveler, check out my astrology travel reports on my website, astrologykissedtravelbliss.com. If you're interested in tarot, you can check out my husband's site. Plus, he also has other information about astrology and some pretty cool offerings. You can check out his website, BR Newman, at iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.